Not everybody. Do you want me to come around and help you guys out individually, or do you want to do it all together?
Individually.
Yes? Okay. So 1 through 4, let me see what you got. 1 through 4, where's my checklist? Make sure I get everybody. Check that one. So we're not gonna. Let me just show you this for number 4 really quick. Let me see if this gets you thinking. If I showed you this, what would you do first? You would add first, right? 2 plus 7 is 9. And then what would you do? So we'd add first and then divide. When you're solving, remember, we go backwards. How do you undo division? How do you undo addition? So you need to multiply first and then subtract. Think about that. I wish that I could, but there's 20 others.
Yeah, it's pretty straight.
No, A plus 3 doesn't mean 3A. What do we need to find that?
Oh.
I don't know. With my friends, let's do that.
Wait, can I actually see what I did wrong?
That's good.
Oh, I forgot. I was still right. It doesn't either way. Look, go down 65 plus 1, 2. Either way, it's 3. It's the answer. So that would now look. We have one thought. Up to you. It's just a coincidence. Yes, it is. It's plus 3 means this is the y. It's just so. This is the letters as you serve in the slope of it on 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and go over 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Right,
Yes.
Okay.
Let's do number 1. How do I get my A up? Whoa. Excuse you. J. What does that mean?
It's a go.
How do I get the A all by itself? And number 1, what do I need to do? You're going to add 8. That's right.
Glennis, Tom, could you please come to the front office? Glennis, Tom, please come to the front office.
Plus 8 plus 8. So my 8's cancel over here, right? So I just have A equals, what's negative 10 plus 8? Negative 2. Why are you being rude? There we go. If I were to show this, like if I wanted to graph that solution, since I only have one variable, I'm not going to use a coordinate plane. I would just use a number line. And then I would go to, I'd go to negative 2. And I would just put a point right there if I wanted to graph this solution. Does that make sense? There's only one number that's going to make this equation work. Let's do number 2 together. What do I need to do to get that n all by itself? That's right. Divide by negative 13. What's 78 divided by negative 13? Yes, so n equals negative 6. And again, on a number line, sorry, this is messy. That's okay, right? I would just put a little point right at negative 6. There's only one point, only one number in the universe that would make that equation true, and that's negative 6. Let's look at number 3. What do you think I need to do first in number 3? Huh? Write out the equation? What do you mean? Yeah, we want to distribute, right? This is one of those don't call after midnight problems. We distribute first. So my negative 144 is just stays the same. What's negative 8 times x? Negative 8 times x. Negative 8x. What's negative 8 times negative 1? Yeah, positive 8, right? So plus 8. Now what do I do to solve for x? How do I get that x all by itself? Yeah, subtract from 8 from both sides. What's negative 144 minus 8? Excellent. Equals negative 8x. So now what do I do? Divide by negative 8. So what does x equal? Yeah, positive 19. Good. And again, on a number line, right, my solution would just be that one point, just 19. And then what about number 4? What's my first step going to be here to get that a by itself? Multiply by 5 on both sides. Okay, let me just rewrite it for our friends who need to see it. If I multiply both sides by 5, on the left-hand side, these 5s just cancel out. I'm still seeing people want to do 5 times a and then 5 times 3. We don't need to do that. Those 5s just canceled out. That's why we multiplied by the 5. So now I have a plus 3 equals negative 2 times 5 is negative 10. And then what do? Subtract 3. Subtract 3. So what does a equal? Negative 13. Again, on a number line, right? That's negative 12, negative 13, negative 14. It's just one single point, one single number. Now, when we're talking about inequalities, we're not talking about one single number anymore, right? If I say I need to spend $30 today, then I'm going to spend $30. Versus if I say I need to spend less than $30, I could spend $29.99, could spend $29.98, I could spend $29, I could spend $28, $27, $26, right? There's a whole bunch of numbers that would satisfy that inequality when I say less than 30 versus equals 30. So for graphing inequalities like this, we've got x is less than or equal to 5. I want you to start by just writing this down, right? This is, well, first of all, what's the difference between these and these? What does that little line mean? Equal to, right? So this is less than or equal to, greater than or equal to. And for less than or equal to and greater than or equal to, I use a closed circle to graph it. For just less than or greater than, I use an open circle. So for number 5, it says x is less than or equal to 5. So I go to 5 on my number line, and am I going to do a closed circle or an open circle? Closed. So I do a closed circle. Let me use a different color. So I do a closed circle at 5. And then am I going to go to the left or to the right? Yeah, why? Because it's less than, yes. So x is less than 5. So all the numbers that are less than 5 are possibility for x. Okay? The other little trick that I like to think about is if I have the variable first, if I have the variable on the left-hand side like this, then my inequality points in the same direction as my graph does. You see that? The inequality kind of points to the left, so my graph is going to point to the left. Okay? So for the rest of this packet, I'm going to be doing the odd problems. The even problems are for you to do. So take a minute and do number 6, please. Take a minute and do number 6, and then we'll move on and do number 7 together. Do number 6 for me, please. This is what I'm going to be grading. I did not get your elimination paper. Okay. So check your bag for that. So like these ones? Because 13 multiplied by negative. So we're going to just be solving these. And solving is exactly the same as solving an equation. To get rid of that, I just divide. Right. Which equals 13. But the trick, and I'm going to have you write this down, is that if I divide or multiply by a negative number, I have to flip the inequality. See how it changed from greater than to less than? Just have to flip the inequality. Just because it's kind of like changing signs.
Okay. And then, so like for these ones?
Yeah, that's good. That's it. But I want you to write out the
has...
inequality as well as graph it.
Okay. So the only thing that includes is just when it's negatives?
Yes.
Okay. So like the rest of these would be fine.
Yes. This one will need to flip. Yeah. And then on the back we'll need to flip. Let me keep going on here.
Okay. Thank you.
Yep. Okay, let's do number 7 together, please. Number 7. So in number 7, it says negative 3 is greater than x. Negative 3 is greater than x. So I'm going to go to negative 3. And am I going to do an open circle or a closed circle? Open. And then do I go to the left or to the right? The left. See how the variable is not on the left-hand side, it's on the right-hand side? That means I have to go in the opposite direction of that inequality. You can just drop that off in the inbox. Thank you. Good job. So I have to go the opposite direction of the inequality. You can also think about it. -3 is greater than x. So x, all the points that are like labeled on my little line, have to be less than -3. It's also like, sometimes it's just better to just rewrite the inequalities so that the variable comes first. I just think it's easier to read that way. So you could just change this from -3 is greater than x. We just write it backwards. So it becomes x is less than -3. Does that make sense? No? Yes? Okay, well, back it up. Pay attention. Stop talking. Okay, first of all, if I have my variable on the right-hand side, it can get a little bit confusing. It's preferred to have the variable on the left-hand side. So if I see something like this, or like number 8, where the variable's on the right-hand side, one option I have is I could just rewrite it. And what I do is I write it backwards. So I start at the right, okay, I have x, and then if I'm looking this way, right, it's saying x is less than -3, right? The alligator eats the bigger number. So -3 has to be bigger than x. So if I wrote it out that other way, it's going to turn into that. Does that make sense? Yes? That's okay? Okay. You don't have to do this, but this is just one option, one way to think about it. The other way to think about it is just like, really like think logically, like -3 is greater than x. That means -3 is the biggest x could be. So I have to highlight the numbers that are less than x, or less than -3. Huh? What?
Let's say it changed it and it was going to X.
I'm not sure what you're saying.
What if X was greater than Yes.
That's what I told you.
So you'd go this way. Yeah, but x isn't greater than -3. X is less than -3. Yeah, if x is greater than -3, then we'd go to the right. And see, if the variable is on the left-hand side, the graph goes in the same direction as the inequality. If the variable is on the right-hand side, it goes in the opposite direction of the inequality. Does that make sense? Cool. Okay, number 8 is yours, and then we'll do number 9 and 11 together. 1 minute to do number 8. Water. Where did my water go? It's right here. You're supposed to use an open source. Okay, number 9. Number 9. We're going backwards. Now I'm given a graph, and I need to write the inequality. What do we think the inequality is going to be for 9? Yeah, that works. 2 is less than or equal to x. How would I write this with my variable first? How would I write this with the variable on the left-hand side?
X is greater than or equal to, or 2.
Yeah. Okay. So both of those options are good. Either one. This is like grammatically correct. You're supposed to put the variable first, but this isn't wrong. Okay, what about 11? What is it for 11? Perfect. X is greater than 5. Here you go. Okay. Numbers 10 and 12 are for you. 10 and 12 are for you to do. I'll give you 2 minutes. Yeah, Tian, if you want to come up. 10 and 12 are for you. I'm going to have you hand this in at the end of class, and I'm checking the even problems, numbers 6 through 26.
Okay, so like how you changed it would still be going that same direction, right? Because V is greater than
Yes.
14.
Yep.
So then for this one, A is greater than 1.
Yep.
Oh, that's right. Okay, cool. Thank you.
Yep.
I'm gonna do this right.
Which one?
These ones right here, because they're kind of all similar. Try to go.
Good job.
There you go. Yep, that's good. The only thing you gotta be careful of, the only thing that's different, see how, okay, here, when you divide by that 2, it should really be dividing by -2.
Oh, yeah, I forgot to put those in these.
Yeah, and when we divide or multiply by a negative number, we have to flip the inequality. So instead of less than or equal to, it should be greater than or equal to. So it just flips. So there was a couple more on the other side that.
Is it here?
On that side. Yeah. So see here, you divide it by -13. Ah, but you did flip. Did Tian tell you?
No.
No?
I think I can try to do that.
Okay.
So just switch this in here. Is that the only one I'm problem with?
No, it happens a few times.
72.
Yeah, since you divide by -8,
Mhm.
divide by -8, you gotta flip the sign.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Uh-huh. Okay, number 13. Number 13, is my x solved for in 13? Is the x all by itself? No, it's not. So I need to get the x by itself. And the thing with solving inequalities, it's the exact same thing as solving an equation. Exact same thing. You undo subtraction by adding, undo addition by subtraction, undo multiplication with division, undo division, multiplication. So what do I need to do here to get that x by itself? Yeah, I add 16. And the thing that I see people make the most mistakes on with inequalities is you've got to keep everything in the same order. Everything's got to, like, make sure you're going left to right every time. So I have my x here, and then my -16 plus 16 canceled out. So I've got x is less than -9 plus 16, 7. So x is less than 7. So what do I do to graph that? Huh? Yeah, open circle at 7, and then do I go left or right? Yeah, left. Right? Since I have my x on the left-hand side, I just go same direction as the inequality. Can also think about it, right? Just x is less than 7. What numbers are less than 7? Okay. Number 14 is for you to do. 14 is for you. I'll do number 15 in just a minute. But number 14 is for you.
So it only flips when you're dividing a negative by a negative? Or just
So
dividing?
yeah, if this was like a -4 out in front and you divided by -4 divided by -4, then you would flip it. But just since that -16 is negative, you don't flip.
Okay, so does it have to be both negatives?
No,
or
it just has to
divided
be
by a negative.
exactly divided by or multiplied by a negative.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
So, like, these ones right here, they all look similar. Am I finding the thing?
Yes.
Am I?
Mhm.
Oh,
Yeah.
I was last looking. I was like, where's most of that?
Yeah, we're solving. Yeah, we're
Okay.
solving for the variable.
Okay.
To get the variable by itself.
Okay. Thank you.
Mhm. All right, let's look at. Is there only one like that? Oh no. Okay, let's look at number 15. Number 15. So -36 is greater than or equal to x minus 18. How do I get that x by itself? Yeah, add 18. What's negative 36 plus 18? Negative 36 plus 18. Yep, negative 18. So I have negative 18 is greater than or equal to x. Can you help me write that with the variable out in front? What would that become? If I wanted to flip it around so that the x came first, what would it be?
X is less than or equal to negative 18.
Yeah, good. So how do I graph? What do I do to graph? Yeah, Damon. Huh? Open or close circle? Where? And then left or right? Left. Okay, number 16 is for you. Give you a couple minutes. So less than or equal to, greater than or equal to, have a closed circle. Less than or greater than is an open circle. Okay, one more minute and we'll do 17. Okay, number 17. I have negative 169 is greater than or equal to negative 13v. I need to get the v by itself. What do I do to get the v by itself? That's right, divide by negative 13, divide by negative 13. So I just told you, solving inequalities is exactly like solving equations. The only difference, the only thing to remember is that if we need to multiply or divide by a negative number, we have to flip the inequality. So when, you should write this down, when multiplying or dividing by a negative number, we need to flip the inequality. So by flip the inequality, I mean this has to change from greater than or equal to less than or equal to. That's the key difference. That's the big thing to remember. When we multiply or divide by a negative number, like we did here, we divided both sides by negative 13. That means I have to flip the inequality so it changes from greater than or equal to less than or equal to. Okay, and then what's negative 169 divided by negative 13? Good job, positive 13. So positive 13 is less than or equal to v. Or if I wanted to rewrite that with the variable out in front, what would it become? What would it become if I wanted to flip it around?
Less than or equal to 13.
So if I want to greater than or equal to, exactly, yeah. That's okay. There you go. So what do I do to graph it? Open or close circle? Close where? At 13, and then do I go left or right? Right. V is greater than 13. Because I have questions so far. I'm moving quickly. Feel okay? Yes? No? Let's do number 19 together, and then you can do 18 and 20. So number 19, I have this like fraction thing. A over 16 is greater than or equal to 10. What does a fraction really mean? Divide. What's the opposite of, yeah, exactly. I got to multiply both sides by 16. What happens to these 16s? They cancel out. So now I just have A is greater than or equal to 160. 10 times 16 is 160. So then to graph that, I need to go, and since I multiplied, do I have to flip the inequality? No, because I multiplied by a positive 16. So only if you multiply by a negative number that you'd have to flip the inequality. So for this one, I just go to 160, I put my closed circle there, and then A is greater, so I go to the right. Okay? So 18 and 20 are for you. 18 and 20, just a couple minutes.
50 or 58? Snowflakes are always in my way.
50, thank you.
We'll write it down.
You got through 26?
Yeah.
So you could start working on the other side.
Let's write it down.
So numbers 27 and 28 are just to kind of like remind you. So this is just slope-intercept form, right? So to graph this from slope-intercept form, I go to 3.
Yeah.
And then my slope, what's my slope?
1.
Yeah, so I go up 1 over 1, up 1 over 1. Okay.
And then
I
down
have
1.
Yeah, I have a whole line, right? And I can connect the points, and that's my answer, yeah? But now when I graph an inequality, it's a little bit different. Still the same thing. This is still slope-intercept form. So where's my y-intercept? Yeah, -1, right? So go to -1. What's my slope?
-5.
Over 4,
4,
right?
yeah.
So I go down 5 over 4. And then I go up 5 over 4. Yeah? There's my line. But now, if I have less than or equal to, greater than or equal to, I draw a solid line.
No.
If I have just less than or greater than, I do a dotted line. Okay? So this is less than or equal to, so I do a solid line all the way down. But since this is an inequality, just like we saw on here, that like our equations give us just one single point, right? But our inequalities give us a whole set of points. So it's the same thing with this. My answer is not just a line. It's going to be this line and everything underneath it, or this line and everything above it. So to figure out whether it's this side or this side, I have to test a point. Okay? I have to test a point. I'm going to teach this on the board in a minute if you want to wait.
Okay. But I can do this one.
Yeah, you could do that one. And you could do on the back, you could do 31 and 32.
Does this go this way?
So you have 180 is less than or equal to. So that's saying that 180. So I think the best thing to do is to write it out. So write out 180 is less than or equal to.
Yeah, maybe. We were swapped up.
Remember, no, less than. You read it left to right. So, regardless of what I just said out loud, right? You want it to stay the same the whole way through. See how you flipped it? So, I'm gonna put it on the yeah. This is less than. This is greater. You always read it left to right. Okay. Okay, so you can think about it like my variables on the right hand side, so it go the opposite direction of my utility.
Really? So that it would just
Yeah.
it's when they look
Or you could rewrite it, and it would be b is greater than or equal to.
because you gotta get it when you try to
So when that's still
I feel like
when that's still means my variables on the left side of those
so it's always like so it's just like this.
Yeah.
It goes the opposite way.
If the variables on the right hand side, then it goes the opposite way of the inequality.
So it goes
If it's on the left hand side, it goes the same direction. I don't know. Yeah. So yes. Yep. Well, I did.
So I part of your conversation talking about this is normal, but I didn't get the whole thing.
These kind of dotted line. That's not. Oh yeah. I'll get there. I know. I'll get there. Yeah, it's all line. And then just wait a minute. Okay. Do we have a question? Question? No? Okay, let's move on. I want to look at this page. So I'm going to do 21 and 23, and then 22, 24, 25, and 26 you're going to do. So 21, what do I need to do here? I like to rewrite it below because there's not any room to work above. So let's rewrite this. So 4 times -7 plus n is less than or equal to -16. What do I do to solve for n? What do I need to do to get that n all by itself? What's my first step? Huh? Yeah, I can distribute. Right? So multiply by 4. 4 times -7 is? -28, yep. What's 4 times n? 4n. So -28 plus 4n is less than or equal to -16. Now what do I do to solve for n? Yeah, we're going to add 28. Those cross out, so I've got 4n is less than or equal to 12. And then what? And then we divide by 4. So n is less than or equal to 3. So then to graph, right, I go to 3, and do I do open or closed? Closed. And do I go left or right? That's right. You should say that's correct. Okay. How about number 23? Number 23, what do I do first? Huh? Subtract 1, yes. So I need to get rid of that 1, so I do that by subtracting 1 from both sides. 33 minus 1 is? 32. So 32 is less than or equal to -8n. Now what? Divide by -8. Divide by -8. So that's -4. Tell me the rest. You flip the sign so it becomes greater than or equal to n. -4 is greater than or equal to n. If I wanted to rewrite this, so my variables on the left-hand side, it would become n is, less than or equal to -4. So that means to graph, I go to -4. And do I do open or closed circle? Closed. And then do I go left or right? Left. There we go. Okay. The rest of those on this page are for you to do. Okay, 22, 24, 25, and 26. You've got like 10 minutes to finish up all those problems. Those of you who have finished those problems already and or are in choir, I want to just show you the next step. So I can let you take this whole packet with you and you can try and work on that back page. Okay? I know we're going quickly. We'll have a lot of time, more time to practice tomorrow. I know I'm giving you a lot right now. But so those of you in choir or those of you who just want to see the next step, I'm going to do this back page with you. Okay? So we start on this side. Okay, so now I have two variables back here. We've got two variables back here. Number 27, it's just an equation. And what form is that equation in?
Quinn Maynard, please come to the office. Quinn Maynard, please come to the office. Thank you.
Yes, this is in slope-intercept form. How do I graph from slope-intercept form? What's the first thing I do when I'm looking at slope-intercept form? Yeah, your y-intercept or starting value, which is what in this equation? 3. So I go up to 3, right? And I plot that point. And then what do I do? To graph, what do I do? I think it's just you, Micah. What else do I do to graph this line?
Okay, 1x, so it would be, the slope would be 1 plus 1.
Yeah, right? Okay, so I have a line, yeah? And this line represents all the possible solutions to that equation, yes? Okay? Just like how here, when we look at these and we graph them on a number line, it's just a single point, right? But then when we graph an inequality, it's a whole set of points. It's kind of similar when we're doing this, okay? Okay, so then if I look at 29, okay, we've already talked about this a little bit, right? My y-intercept was -1. So I go to -1, and my slope is -5/4. So I go down 5/4. I can also go up 5/4. Okay. These kind of inequalities get a solid line. These kind of inequalities get a dotted line. So I do a solid line for this one, right? Solid line. But my solutions are not just on this line. It's going to be all the points below this line or all the points above this line. Well, sort of, because in calculus, yeah, calculus, you're looking at this and you're trying to find the area like under the head. Yeah, so sort of, kind of, right, kind of. It's what it's called is it's the half plane. So like imagine a plane in space, right? And it's either going to be this half of the plane or this half of the plane. So it's a half plane. To figure out whether it's below or above, some people teach it like y is less than, so it's going to be all these points because it's less than. But that always really confuses me. And I feel like there's sometimes where it doesn't work. So what I like to do is I like to test a point. So I have to pick a point, any point that's not on the line. The easiest point to use is 0, 0. So I always use 0, 0 if it's not on the line. So I'm going to use that 0, 0. And I'm going to plug it into my inequality.
Okay, so for 0. Okay, yeah.
Okay. So I get 0. And what I'm doing is I'm testing to see, does this work in here? So is 0 less than 0 minus 1? Well, no, because 0 is not less than -1, right?
Yeah.
So that means that I can't shade the side that has 0, 0. I have to shade the opposite side.
Okay.
So it's all that below it.
So if the equation's true, you shade that side?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, cool.
Yes.
Yes.
I'll leave you 30. Okay. I'm probably going to give them more practice to do with these 2 variable inequalities. This is just kind of like getting us started. Do you want to see one on the back too? So choir people or people that are ahead, I'm going to do number 31 and 33. So what form is this in? Yeah, let's convert it to, so when I have standard form, I've got 2 options. I can either convert it to slope-intercept form, or I can find x and y intercepts. I can tell just by looking at those numbers that I'm doing fractions for the x-intercept. So I don't want to do that. I'm just going to convert it. So if I convert that, I get rid of that 5x. So 4y equals 8 minus 5x. Divide by 4, divide by 4, divide by 4. So y equals negative 5/4 x plus 2. Yeah? So I go to 2. And then I go down 5 over 4. And I draw my line. Up. And that's all I have to do when I'm graphing an equation. That's easy now. For inequality, let's convert to slope-intercept form.
If it's not greater than or equal to, it can be the same shading.
Shading stays the same. It's just the line. Yes. So that becomes y is less than negative 4x plus 1. So I go to 1. And then I go down 4 over 1. Up 4 over 1. And then I've got a dotted line. Okay, and then I test a point. So I can test 0, 0 here because it doesn't go through 0, 0. So I plug in 0, 0 into the inequality. So I get 0, and I'm checking, I'm asking, is this true? Is 0 less than negative 4 times 0 plus 1?
Yeah.
Yeah, it is. So 0 is less than 1. So that means I shade the side that has 0, 0 on it. Okay. Yeah, you're welcome. Okay.